my room, it's really, really small. And but I make it work. But anyway, recording in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. What this whole 360 subscribers that we have, we get about like 20 views per video. Thank you for watching. This is another episode of Conversations Abroad. You know what? It's not about the viewership. I just love doing it. It's one of the coolest things that we've ever got to do. But we have a special guest with us, streaming or recording all the way from Maputo, Mozambique. It's about 7 hours ahead. I don't know. Azarias, what time is it?
It's almost like 8 p.m., like 2 minutes to 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
Yeah.
Thank you for did you have dinner yet?
No, yeah, no.
Oh no, so you're
But
hungry.
I have
So
a
let's
bit
get
of
what
yeah.
are you having today?
I think I would be doing like cucumber salad,
Oh, nice.
and I think a bit of rice. I was thinking about frying like some eggs, but I'm not sure yet.
Are you gonna have rice with that, you said?
Yeah, yeah, a bit of rice and cucumber salad, and maybe just fry 2 eggs. I think will be great for me.
I missed my Mozambique food the other day. Have you ever gone to Nando's before? The restaurant?
Uh, like last time I went to South Africa, I had the opportunity to taste a bit of it. I didn't taste like the syrups, the things they did. They're like they have all of those types of things on the table. I was like, I don't know how to make it put this thing on my food. So I kind of like say, no, I'm not trying. I'll leave it for the next time I go there.
Did you try the chicken?
Yeah, I had a chicken. It was really nice.
Nice. So yeah, and when I went to Chicago, there was a Nando's over there. So I was like, oh, I have to try this food. But I do miss the food. So how are things going on in Maputo right now?
I think this was one of the best weeks, one of the best week we had so far because we had like the free this week or last week. I'm not sure. I think it was this week. The president had decreed that we are no longer obligated to wear masks.
Yes, I
So it
saw
was
that on
really nice.
STV.
So yeah, it was last week. So I think a lot of people like really love that, and it also had like we kind of returning to the real normal of everything. So from now on, people are kind of doing the same things that we were doing before the pandemic hit. So I think Maputo is doing well, and summer is coming. We don't have like a spring. Here's like when summer comes, it's hot. When summer goes, we just have like a bit of fresh season and cold season, and I think it's gonna be more like that. Yeah, I think it's how we can. It's what I can say about Maputo right now.
Oh, that's great. And you know, sometimes like once a week, I'll go to YouTube and I'll listen to STV and stuff like that. So I would get all the news that you guys are getting.
Oh,
So
nice. That's great.
just so to talk to you a little bit about Azarias. Azarias, he started out with A Palavra. If you ever listen to our podcast in the first season, I had our good friend Efraimi Mendez that would, tag along with me on some podcasts. I think all of them, but I think, or if not most of them. Azarias, I met him through A Palavra. It's a campus ministry. During his time at university, he felt the call to doing campus ministry. And basically what they do is, they are set up on these three foundation: worship, family, and mission. So they'll just go to the college campus, talk about God. He's went through an internship program, and then he's worked quite a bit within that ministry as well. So that's how I got to know him. But during 1 year during the pandemic, the one thing that I remember about Azarias is we were talking about certain books, and we were just like, hey, let's just read this book. And I forget that book that we read. It's about spiritual
Like
empowerment,
spiritual warfare,
spiritual
like
warfare.
spiritual warfare. Yeah.
And we just read the book, and somehow we talked about leadership, we talked about church culture, we talked about Mozambican culture, and we talked about and then we also listened to some videos. So it was just 1 year that Azarias and I, we just were just reading and praying with each other, and just getting to know both ways. I was learning a lot, and I think we were learning a lot through the book. So this is so it's really great to have you on over here, Azarias.
Thank you for having me here. And yeah, it was a real amazing journey. I would say, yeah, for me, it was like that. Really being able to lead people to know Jesus more and more. And more than that, really leading people to know that their gifts, their skills, the talents they have, the degrees they have, it's not about themselves. It's about what God really wants to do here on the earth. Equipping us with all the skills that we need to keep cultivating the earth to make it more prosperous place, a more peaceful place for people to live in.
And so I was, and also the discussions that we have during that 1 year, during like when COVID happened, and ministry started becoming slow. There was a few things that we were really just praying about, and talking with, and talking over spiritual warfare, because I had a spiritual warfare while reading that book. To me, at that time, it just felt like it was very, very important in understanding what is God has called us to do, what's the destiny He has us to go for, but how many people has the enemy stopped from reaching the promised land? And when during reading that book, and while praying, while discovering, what God wants us to become, what I've realized is that we have to identify how does those spiritual attacks happen, and then inadvertently what's happening to us is come to realizing, like, okay, now that we've understood what the negative voices are, what are those that enemy, what the enemy is trying to do. Now we understand, okay, this is the voice we should block out. And of course, getting closer to God is, changing on our parts to being more like what His Son Jesus Christ has modeled us to be, because we cannot be godly without we cannot have proximity with God without being godly. If we're ungodly, then God wants to be as far apart with Him, because He is holy. We are holy because He is holy. But what I've learned is understanding the attacks from the enemy, the discouragement, where the bondage that he wants to keep us from. He wants us to believe that our voice are inactive. He wants to shut down our voice. He wants to shut down our potential. And that is detrimental to students like you were before. Many students that are in college today that believe that we cannot be a godly influence in our marketplace. So those discussions that we had, they were just like truly great. Anything that from that time in Mozambique, anything that stood out to you that was like kind of like that was a lot of change in your life?
You have a like good memory. And I'm younger, and I don't have like that great memory. But okay. But I think it was really nice for me to really learn how to navigate through many things in life, as you were saying, like, and I was thinking about this days ago. I have like a couple friends really trying to engage in politics. And I have like that common sense thing, like, no way. If you get into politics, my friend, I'm telling you for real, you're gonna get corrupted. There's no way for you to be whole, remain holy there. There's no way for you to keep loving Jesus with the same with the same intensity if you get involved in this kind of thing. Now that you've like touched what we're talking about back there, I was like, no, this really resonates with what we're talking about. and the enemy is really nice in messing with our minds, with our thoughts, to make us think like, okay, there are some specific areas where you can really serve God like in godly way, and others you can. But actually life, even if you get married, you're likely also to fall, to fall and commit all kind of things. Maybe you're not going to do like adultery or betray a wife or things like that, but because we're not those perfect people, we're still trying to walk into perfection as followers of Jesus. We can really mess up in anything, like whether we're in politics, whether we're in business world, whether we're even in ministry, you can still like doing really big mistakes, like really things that people are like, no, I don't believe that guy is a real pastor. And I think that book, and one of the things that we talked a lot about that book is how the enemy, all the dark powers of this age, like Satan, all of his partners, trying to do like trying to bring this kind of lies and trying to deceive us and trying to make us think things not the way we're meant to. So I think this one of the things that I really got on that book. Like, hey, I need to take care of my mind, because truth and lies really sometimes the world through all these social media things, I can really get messy and really get myself deceived. So I think that was a great update that I got from that.
You have a podcast, and you have a few episodes that, so what is it that you're talking about? Actually, I want to go back to this one thing you mentioned about politics and corruption, so people understand, because some countries, if one person say, I want to be in politics, sometimes corruption might mean different from to another person. So for example, in the United States,
Okay.
a person might think, oh, corrupt politic. It could be totally different in the African context. Um, and you mentioned it before about okay, people want to stay away from that. One of the main challenges that are happening with politics? Why is there such a negative stigma against being a politician?
Well, here in Mozambique in particular, when we talk about corruption, it comes to evolve. It has like includes like briberies, includes like schemes to do like money laundering, and just for in the name of politics, people want to have power, not to lead people, but to have all the gain they can get from that. Like one example of this, like I'm thinking maybe to become like a mayor. And I know, okay, Matola is a good place. It's like a business center here in Maputo. Like, yeah, we have like the industrial park is really huge and the profits are huge. And people coming to do business here, like they bring like a lot, millions and millions of medical. So I'll be thinking like, oh, let me candidate myself to become a mayor, and people's gonna say, no way, this guy, you're gonna be a mayor? No way for you to be there. All the schemes that the government, all some of the political structures they have, you have to fall into that. You have to follow that. You have to dance in the rhythms they have set. The music is theirs. It's not your music. They're not going to play music, because if we want them to play music, you need to make a huge cleans. You need to clean all the system, all the way from the top to the bottom. And so we have here in Mozambique, we have this sense that whenever a person, especially if they join through like a political party, we don't think like, oh, no way, you're selling your soul to the devil. You're not, you're likely to do a bit of good, but most of the time you're doing evil, because the system, it works through bribery, through commissions, like legal commissions. So I think this is one of the things that really makes people feel like afraid about getting too involved in politics here in Mozambique.
And from, because obviously I don't know, living in Mozambique for 2 years, you get to learn a lot, but there's still so much things that I need to still learn that I'm uneducated about. And from what I understand, you know, what people are very upset about, not just Mozambique, but many, I think every country around the world. I think that, but specifically in Africa, there would be, let's say, like France gives money. There will be a lot of foreign aid money, and this business comes in, and normally to open up a business in Mozambique, you have to go through this long paperwork, and you have to go through you have to jump and make hurdles. And there's so many long time for you to do something. But if you give a political figure or somebody cash, you could do it, get it a lot easier. So money,
Yeah.
according to some people, if you have a lot of money, it works in your favor. But or if you are a Christian and you don't want to bribe anyone, it could be difficult for you anyway, because the system is kind of different. And living in my 2 years, I do understand. But the thing that makes people upset is that the money that's given to the government, and from what I listen to from people, is that there's not enough representation. There's not enough, the people are not being helped with that money.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what, but there is hope that Africa, and there's a lot of success in a lot of African countries. I go to South Africa, or and also there is a lot of hope that that in Africa, a lot of African countries, that people will not suffer as much. I don't know. I might be incorrect with my evaluation, but that's kind of how I think about it.
I think now what's happening in Africa, I'm not sure because I don't have like specific data, the statistics on it, but there is really this kind of wave, a lot of through new business, and people are really willing to really start like new business in their communities, whether for like community development, but even like for profit, and to people are really dreaming to build like great business. So I think one of the things that's going to happen over the time is that we're going to see like the system will need to adequate. My hope and my prayer is that as we keep doing this thing, we're going to make pressure over the system. And as we have more people that think alike, like us, and they have gone through college and they have seen what the future, we have like a lot of African going abroad to study, whether in the United States or UK or EU. Like these people are coming back to Africa. Like we need to do something there. And I think what these people are sowing now, they're going to reap in a great way, because they're doing something, believing like tomorrow something's gonna happen. And I think that's what I would like to do. I don't need to wait for the harvest to happen. I need to be part of the planting, of the sowing. So I think that's what's gonna happen through over the time. And this is my hope, because really a lot of young Africans, they're really working a lot to make this a better place for our children and our grandchildren in the future.
When someone asks the question, why do you need Christians to be a part of that change? Why do you need missionaries coming from different parts of the country to Mozambique? Why is it that you need that? Some people say like, keep away the religion, stay away from the religion. Why is it important that Christianity specifically could be beneficial to countries that economically and structurally they're rising, or they're going through certain or there's certain structures where there's corruption, or there's not so much of a structure or organization as we see elsewhere. societies with a higher structure?
Oh wow, history is good. I don't have some the titles here in my mind now. That would be great to share with people. But if you go through like some history books and learn about how America or Europe was before Christianity, over the ages, and what Christianity really, and even if we go to the first church, like the primitive church back there in the days of the apostles, and how Christianity really helped to shape the culture, and how that kind of shaping the culture really helped to develop. We know that by history, college by Christians. We know that this charity organization, most of them really started being led by Christians. We know that the ethics and the ethics that really led this big institution over the time and really helped them to cope with slavery back in time, or cope with maybe in the first centuries after Christ, how they helped to shape the Roman Empire to become a more inclusive empire for all peoples of the nation that the Roman Empire was ruling over. So I think what the history tells us that whenever Jesus and the principles of Jesus, of following Jesus, really start to be followed by people, communities really change. And we, for sure, as Christians, we hope that people are going to follow Jesus for the benefit of we're going to be reconciled with God, and we're going to really be restored to the full. We're going to be restored to what God really intended us to be in the beginning when He created us, back there in Genesis. For sure, we want people to really hope that they're going to be in the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of Jesus, when He returns to establish all this new creation. This is something really nice. But as Jesus has left us here, it showed that His intention to start this new creation, even through this madness and ugliness that we're still living in. And I think whenever we're going to a nation and start to bring Jesus through this development, first of all, I think we open opportunities to make the ugliness of the system turn into more beautiful, more inclusive, whether ethnicities. One of the things that we fight, even here we feel a bit of tension regarding people who burn in the central or in the north of the country. If you go to places like South Africa, you're going to feel more of this division. If you go even more in the Central Africa, it's still, even here, I remember to been talking to my colleagues, like in the center of Mozambique, there are these tribes, they call them Ndau and Senas. They say, no way for you to get married. No way to these people from these different tribes to get married. I was like, really? And imagine how it reflects through business and political policies that people from one tribe really would decide over the other. I never like truly beneficial for all. So I think when Jesus comes and says, no, there are no longer barriers, whether you are Ndau or Sen. I think this really can change all of the things. If you go to Nigeria, because I have more information about Nigeria, they're really divided, like a lot of tribes, and they're huge. And it's kind of like each tribe is a country. But Nigeria has this long history of conflicts through different regions, and you find like more tribes are more inclined to one religion and others to another thing. But I think when we start to see Jesus comes and say, no, you don't have to fight because of that. You're one, whether you're black or white, whether you are from one tribe or other, whether you are from one region or another. I think this is that will be very transformative to Africans here. So I believe that for this reason, the gospel should be preached through all the seasons of transformation.
Awesome. So the next thing that I wanted to do is I'm going to exit out this podcast because I have 2 minutes remaining. And then I'm going to ask you the question about your podcast, and the topic is going to be on identity. So you could pretty much just take it over and talk about, about with the topic that you're going to talk about in your next podcast.